Water is cool. Thanks to water, there's life on Earth. However, a billion years ago, it was a bit different here. You had water, you had the sun, you even had life, so maybe a human could, live out there. Let's find out what would actually happen. First, we have to quickly recap on how water and life came to life. Let's start with the Earth. Around 4.6 billion years ago, our sun had just formed. And like any newborn star, it was surrounded by a cloud of leftover gas and dust. And this is what we call a protoplanetary disk. Now this disk has a few zones. It has a colder zone, which is far from the sun, and it's where it's cold enough for water and gases to freeze. So that's where icy bodies like comets and asteroids take shape. And you got a hotter zone, which is obviously close to the sun. That's where rocky planets like our Earth formed. And this area is known as a terrestrial planet zone. Now our planet took shape from dust and gas, so elements like hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, and iron gradually came together under gravity. But the early Earth wasn't exactly cozy. It was a hot, molten world, just shaped by volcanic activity. So yeah, the Earth was kind of born in fire. And that actually marks the beginning of the Precambrian period. Starting from 4.5 billion years ago, it covers around 88% of our Earth's history, from the planet's formation to the rise of just more complex life. And at this point, our planet was just a dry, hot rock. It was kind of missing something. And if you guessed water, you guessed right. So, how did we get water? Well, scientists believe that the early Earth had some hydrogen locked inside, not really floating around, but bound up in minerals deep underground, along with oxygen. And once the planet started to cool down, volcanoes began to erupt. And these eruptions released gases, including water vapor. Now that vapor formed from the wombo combo of oxygen and hydrogen in the rocks and minerals. But the Earth was still too damn hot. The surface needed to cool down below 100 degrees Celsius for water vapor to actually condense. And only then did it start to rain. And it didn't just sprinkle. It rained for millions of years, slowly filling in the terrain and forming these first oceans. But here's the twist. Earth didn't do that all on its own. Remember that cold zone further out in the protoplanetary disk? Yeah, chunks of ice, by that I mean comets and icy asteroids, came flying in from that region, delivering even more water with every impact. And that's how Earth got its water. Far from drinkable water, just to be clear, as a bunch of chemicals from the volcanic gases have dissolved into this water, like there was a bunch of nickel and iron in it. So oceans at that point were really hot and they were probably red, due to a lot of iron just being thrown around. Yeah, not a very pleasant experience, like you wouldn't be drinking anything. But hey, even today, only 1% of water on Earth is actually drinkable water. Now that's like the odds of making it big on YouTube or having a noticeable amount of subscribers. So please like the video and subscribe. It would mean a lot and you can always change your mind later. Alright, so now we got oceans, volcanoes, and time. Lots of time. So over the next few 100 million years, as the oceans cooled, simple molecules like amino acids and lipids started forming, just floating around in water and random ponds. Some of them even began linking up, forming more complex structures. So eventually, a few organized themselves into cell-like blobs. And from there, boom, the first simple cells appeared. And that's basically life. Quite simple life, but it's honest work. The first life on Earth at around 3.7 billion years ago. You gotta give it to these little guys, the cells, bacteria, and whatnot. And you gotta give it to water as well. Water wasn't just a backdrop, it made life possible. It helped molecules form, it protected them from harsh conditions, and it created a stable environment. So thanks to all of that, cyanobacteria evolved. Tiny organisms that could do photosynthesis. You probably heard of it. Cyanobacteria used sunlight, CO2 from the air, and of course water to make energy. And in return, they released glucose and oxygen as a byproduct. So now we have oxygen, and that kind of ticks all the boxes. We have oxygen, we have water, and we got land to stand on. So we'll choose this point in time, basically a billion years ago. Let's say you now spawn somewhere, randomly on Earth, and you'd pass away, or unalive unfortunately, probably quite swiftly. The few reasons are, the oxygen levels are still way too low, because back then the oxygen levels were just 10% of what they are today. There's also a lot of CO2 and methane in the atmosphere, and the ozone layer hasn't really formed yet. That big protective layer from the sun's radiation, which is kind of crucial because without it the sun would just instantly fry you. There's also no water to drink, no food to eat, you get it. We can pretty much sum it up and say that this Precambrian period wasn't really ready for humans. If you had some sort of suit with heat protection, oxygen supplies, radiation shielding, maybe. But that's a story for another video. If you enjoyed this one, give it a thumbs up. And I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye.